Bushcraft, a word as old as time itself. Scholars define bushcraft as the relationship between a man or woman and his bush, or her bush. Invented in 2006 by bushcraft pioneer Joe Tetty.
Want me to make you an umbrella too?
No, I'm alright.
Bushcraft has grown into a cultural phenomenon with many, many people across the globe now taking part in bushcraft activities such as reading about it on the internet, posting about it on the internet, having heated discussion about the minutiae of bushcraft on the internet, and of course collecting bushcraft gear. When a man or woman takes part in bushcraft activities, the community consensus is often that the bushcraft knife is the second most important part of a bushcrafter's kit, once of course the bushcrafter has assembled his or her Lord of the Rings costume. Today we are stopping by and checking in with one of the most timeless tools in the bushcrafter's arsenal, the mobile phone. And we're using it today to make a video about the bushcraft knife. So come with me as we make a trip to the internet bushcrafter's common stomping ground. The cleared off dinner table that has enough space for a camera tripod. And we'll check in with a great bit of bushcraft gear, the Benchmade Puukko. Now the Benchmade Puukko is a knife steeped in mystery. The main mystery being how many U's and how many K's you need to put when you write Puukko to retain your bushcraft internet credibility. Now to the newcomer, entering the world of bushcraft knives can be really difficult, but the best way to identify a bushcraft knife in the wild, it's easy. Go on a knife website, find the knife that looks similar to all the other fixed blade knives but is $20 more, and that there is your bushcraft knife. Now bushcraft knives come in all different colours, such as brown, olive, green, military green, and of course, dark brown. They also come in a wide variety of blade sizes, from 3.5 inches all the way up to 4.5 inches. And remember, anyone trying to sell you a knife with a shorter or longer blade than that should be returned to the circus because they're a fucking clown. Now the bushcraft knife sheath is just as important as the bushcraft knife blade, and they come in 3 accepted styles. The most accepted is leather, having the knife poke you in the side when you lean over. Then of course there's the Mora sheath, which is the only time it's okay to have a plastic sheath if it is surrounding or enclosing a Mora knife. And the third and the most newfangled kind of sheath is the one with a dangler. Like so. Now traditionalists generally stick to being poked in the side by their sheaths when they lean over. However, in 2012, the Traditionalist Elder Council had a vote. And in this vote, they finally gave way to mounting pressure from the bushcraft youth and finally let the dangler sheath be an official part of the bushcrafter's kit. It was a vote that caused large-scale institutional change and caused lots of the more senior members of the council to resign in protest. And of course, rumour has it that a far-left faction actually pressed for Kydex sheaths to be accepted as well, but they were abruptly stoned to death. So returning again to the Benchmade Puukko, it actually does have a fairly politically correct blade length, being just on 4 inches. This enables it to be able to do all the hypothetical bushcraft tasks such as splitting wood, making a trap for a small animal. And don't worry greenies, they just get thrown out after the video's been filmed. No animals have ever been harmed in the making of a bushcraft YouTube trap. Or shaving a stick down to being pointy and then thrust about a couple of times and then burned in the fire. Of course, brings us to fire, man's oldest foe, friend, and lover. Now the bushcraft knife is inherently linked to fire through the oldest and most arcane of the bushcraft arts, making a feather stick. Now, the hardest part of filming a bushcraft YouTube feather sticking video is getting enough consistent cuts to make it look like you know what you're doing. That way you can present to your viewers a series of long strokes looking like you're making the perfect feather stick. Plus, if you're a real internet bushcraft pro, you'll be able to use editing software to clip the start and finish part of your feather sticking video, only getting the good bit in the middle, and that'll make you look much cooler. So I'd suggest folks, if you're not as good at the primary bushcraft skills, perhaps invest some more time into the secondary bushcraft skills, such as video editing. Perfect. Now, with regard to ignition of your feather stick, your fire source, there are two schools of thought which go a little like this. Reading from the scrolls of Bushcraft. So, thought 1. Any knife that can't strike a fire steel from its spine is no Bushcraft knife, and anyone who says that it is doesn't know what they're talking about and should immediately uppercut themselves. And the other, of course, states, the fire steel comes with a bit of steel attached to scrape the rod, you fucking flog. You're talking out of your ass. So the Benchmade Puukko seems to be a delicate balance right in the middle of those two, because whilst it does have somewhat of a sharp spine, it doesn't particularly ignite a ferro rod with amazing success. This may be one case where sitting on the fence does nobody any favours. You are talking out of your ass, you fucking flog. Perfect. Now I don't know about you, but I'm pretty stuffed after a hard 15 minutes of filming in the backyard. Let's go inside and get some final thoughts. Now the main issue I have with the Benchmade Puukko as a true purveyor of bushcraft is it is absolutely incorrectly priced. It also has the complete wrong materials. Allow me to explain. Now a true bushcraft knife is one of only two things. Either it is a Mora with absolutely zero monetary value that can then be the cornerstone of discussions about how your bushcrafting skills need not an expensive knife. That is one type of bushcraft knife. The other, of course, is a somewhat handmade and very expensive knife using still rather rudimentary materials, perhaps endorsed by one of the cool bushcraft celebrities. And I don't mean one of the big guys, I mean one of the ones who gets around wearing an equally cool Lord of the Rings costume. Now, the Benchmade Puukko is neither of those things. In fact, it's a knife using excellent materials like 3V for a good long-lasting edge that is going to be durable, and this nice rubberized polymer handle, which is very comfortable in the hand and offers great grip. But the cardinal sin is, of course, it is sold at a completely reasonable price for the materials involved, leading, of course, to absolutely no credence to the owner about using a really expensive fancy man bushcraft knife or being so utterly skilled that he can get by with just a Mora, as the song goes.
All I've ever needed was a Mora. I can build an engine with a Mora.
So therefore I feel that the Bushcraft Puukko by Benchmade will never be accepted as a true bushcraft knife, for good reason. So in situations like this, I find it always best to seek the sacred text of the Bushcraft Council, which in this case read, Benchmade, more like bitchmade, that's a poser's bushcraft knife, and nothing on my Woodlaw knife in 01 steel. That knife is trash, and this was a trash video. Go and eat a dick.